I'm going to open the floor now to questions for either one of us. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Could a person that has, as an adult, grown up with D.I.D. and has the issues, that come with that, and then has children, can they suddenly start to develop those same types of issues in their own lives just by that adult?
Absolutely, basically because you're getting the push-pull of the adult person, right? We don't know who mommy is or who daddy is.
So they don't necessarily have to experience those traumas, but because they live with them.
I don't know. Typically, it's going to be that they're traumatized, but they're emotionally abandoned by the mom, or the dad. The person ends up raging at them when they do something, because another part comes up. So it's that they've incurred some form of trauma from being in a relationship with someone like that.
And the kids may glean in those. Mom has multiple identities. Like they'll say, we don't like that mom, we like the party mom or something like that. They'll pick up on it right away. There's different moms there. You had a question back there.
Yeah, the website that you showed on the previous slide, is that where you get the material from, or do you have handouts or anything?
There are handouts on Go This Class itinerary. There, I had the notes on that slide, on that link.
Oh, okay.
Class notes were there.
Can you say that again?
You go back to the BAS convention, this class workshop. The class notes were hyperlinked to this.
Oh.
We're supposed to hand out.
Online.
Yeah, online.
And so what does this website do?
This is Sue, in the Potter's Hands for counseling. And this is my website, this is our Ministries.
Okay.
To contact us for any follow-ups or any other questions.
Where are you located?
In the Potter's Hands is in Pleasanton.
It's in Pleasanton. I'm new to the area, so
Okay.
okay.
Downtown Pleasanton.
Do you train?
Kind of. It depends.
Yeah.
Kind of depends, yeah. Well, a lot of it, we've got an internship program.
Okay.
Costs money to do it, because it takes a lot of time and energy. But we do train, and then especially if we're working with satanic ritual abuse, Mike loves to, and we're finding this, and that's part of what the difficulty is too in the counseling, is that it just helps so much if you have two prayer ministers working with the person, because it is a matter of discernment. And one thing I want to say, even like with the Sozo or a lot of other popular ministries that tend to go out there, one of the things that I'm adamantly against is creating a formula for healing.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that it's totally unbiblical and ungodly, because it takes me and my connection with Jesus out of the equation, so now I'm doing the work instead of Jesus, and he's the healer, not me. Okay, so that's part of the Sozo problem too, is it tends to be a little bit formulaic. Same thing with theophostics, or what was that other one that was popular for a while? I can't remember.
We'll come up later.
Yeah.
In the examples that I've seen, a lot of people are so hurt that when they start to feel the love of God, the intensity of that pushes them away.
Sure, that's D.I.D.
Yeah.
Right?
How do you get past that, or should you?
It's built in.
You got to keep, go ahead, Mike, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. It's built in. A lot of times when we work with some of these D.I.D. survivors, they you build a relationship with them, but the protector goes, well, they're going to hurt me. This is a preemptive get away from me so I won't get hurt. And right? It's kind of like how it works. Yeah.
So remember, in the shell, right, we've got this little kid, and oftentimes they'll have multiple little parts, and they're like, but I love Tony. I have this all the time. I love Tony. And Mike's we were talking about on the way over. But then they've got other parts. Tony, she's a blah blah, and they'll, angry parts, and they're swearing, and Tony's this, and I can't believe her, and she doesn't love me, and all. And the hours of free time and everything invested, right, which is really love, but it's inherent in D.I.D. I love you, go away. Yeah.
Leading back to the question, yeah.
Did you, I came in late, so maybe you already covered it. What role, if any, does medicine play? As far as when you're addressing this, how, do you ever say this person needs to take any kind of pharmaceuticals to solve anything?
If someone wants to go on antidepressants, I'm not a huge medical
neither am I, that's why I'm asking.
So. Yeah. However, what I have seen is that sometimes, like if someone's they're depressed and they can't get out of it, right? And it's like they're suicidal and their spouse is saying, get on medication. I'm not against it. Because what I've seen is it'll lift them up enough that then we can go in and do some more work, or and get like a little bit of breakthrough. And then what I say is for a season, do it for a season. I used to be adamantly against it altogether, but what I've seen is I've actually seen it help for a season. And we've got a person, one of the counselors that in the Potter's Field suffers from chronic depression. When she's off of it, and she knows all the skills to use to bring healing and to invite Jesus in, when she's off of it, she's suicidal. It's a brain chemistry thing. And so there are certain things that are brain chemistry. D.I.D. is not brain chemistry.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So
Yeah.
it's not a chemical
Right.
imbalance.
It's not schizophrenia, which is what they used to
That's
think.
what I was going
Right,
to say
it's
next.
not. That's a brain chemistry thing. This is a best defense.
That's why the beauty of it is it can heal.
So
Yeah.
DID is not a
It can
chemical
really damage,
imbalance.
it heals. Yeah.
Okay.
You had a question right here? Who's next? Yeah.
So you're not talking about borderline personality disorder.
No, although often it's misdiagnosed as borderline personality disorder.
So hypothetically, if a client comes to you and they're, say like they're in their 40s, and they have had, they're diagnosed with late onset PTSD from ritual years of childhood ritual abuse and say everything, pornography, everything. And they're suicidal, they're self-harming, and they need.
That's what it is. It's in a
It's-
nutshell. That's what it is.
Pardon?
That's what you're describing is what it is. That's what comes in.
And they need serious inpatient, outpatient, everything. Would you, and they're believers, they're Christians,
Mhm.
and they also need spiritual help, would your ministry fit in with working with the medical field too?
Can.
If they need medical,
It
they
can.
obviously need
The
medical
problem is that the
attention.
medical people that they're going to be seeing aren't going to be believing in the spiritual elements that we're talking about.
Right.
Productive.
If there's a way to try to.
Right. Exactly.
But I mean, there are some that are so comprehensive that they will, I'm speaking personally,
Okay.
and I said to them, I said, I need comprehensive care, because I'm faith-based, I'm a Christian, and I'm, the church did not know how to handle and all that, what are you talking about when it started coming out?
Exactly.
So my thought is, and I've seen this happen, other people come in and they don't know how to tie in the whole
Right.
comprehensive care, when they need extensive medical help as well as the spiritual guidance of something. I mean, is there room for ministry if there was leeway to kind of somehow?
Probably the DID part. If there's
Pardon?
things for the DID part, most likely. For the medical part, we leave it to the doctors.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
So
of course, but
But you can come alongside, and that's part of the
that's what I'm saying,
whole.
alongside.
Right. Part of what makes In the Potter's Hands a little bit different too, besides just to give us some insight with this, right, is that because of the type A trauma, and every DID person's going to have type A trauma, okay, as well as type B trauma probably, right? But because of the type A trauma, we created community. And what this is it's predominantly for women right now. We have a small set of men who are doing it. But a bunch of women get together, and you can invite your girlfriends, and we get together to try to start encouraging relationship. Doing some of our classes are kind of conducive to that too, because people feel a little bit safer coming to a class and then maybe coming to a community event, which is going out hiking or going out to eat or whatever. But then we also have what we call community life, which is basically thrown in as though you're living in a home with people, heavy duty community, and that's where you're working on maturity, because a big part of this is maturing. And I won't take time to go into that, but you have to have maturity happening, and it's not how you would normally mature, which is 1 to 5. But if you're dealing with maturing adults, you have to actually start with the last part of maturity, which is a coherent identity, and work backwards to belonging. So that's part of what community life does too, which we have, which you're set up with a mentor, you're meeting with counselors, you're also involved with what's called goal setting meetings, and you're in with other people, goal setting teams that are holding you accountable. Yeah.
What is coherent identity?
That's basically, am I able to remain myself regardless of experiencing one of the 6 distressing emotions: fear, anger, disgust, shame, sadness, or hopeless despair.
So is it sort of similar to attachment therapy? Or-
Yes. Well, it's obviously has some attachment stuff in
Right.
there, right? And
So-
attachment's its own whole.
Okay,
But it definitely plays a part in this.
so that would be the
That
closest
would be
secular
it, because
thing.
belonging is an attachment wound.
Okay.
And that happens foundationally from infant to about first couple of years of age. So that's foundational for maturity. And if I didn't get that, then all other maturity is vision.
Man back there.
You mentioned the DA response.
Yes.
What other types of responses have you seen to this type of trauma, other than DID?
I haven't. Every single time it ends up being DID. Before, I didn't know what it was. It was really fascinating. People would come in and I could tell that they were strong believers. And we would work on self-hatred and getting rid of the lies and making sure that they're, grabbing on to who Jesus is and who Jesus tells them to do. And all this healing of type B traumas. But then I remember one weeping, saying, I'm going to kill myself because I can't stop going and having sex with married men. And so God must not love me. Well, then I'm like introduced to D.I.D. I'm like, hello. She's got a part that's going out there because they were created to have sex. Right?
Yeah, so when, I had a couple questions, so if somebody wanted to work with you, they just call and
Right.
that's it? Okay. And then, what I'm seeing is in the ages like 18 to 25, that they're doing really satanical practices, they have it on their websites and different things like that. Would you say that those people are, how would you, because the 18 to 25-year-olds, it's very predominant.
And some are just, they left the church, got hurt in the church if they've been church.
Right.
And some are seeking power and they're seeking it in the wrong direction. They may find what they're looking for,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Usually the ones that have been SRA, they don't usually go in that direction. They're trying to fight that. They don't want that to believe it ever existed, so it's not them. It's usually, for some reason, people just getting sucked into the wrong area. They start in paganism, like with Harry Potter, and just sucks them all the way up into the darkness, just in the full path.
Yeah. And then do they, when you said that it gets misdiagnosed a lot, so is that something that you can determine? And then if it's not DID, you send them elsewhere, or how's that go?
Yeah, but I am not a diagnostician, nor can I play one at work. You can come in, but they're just, when you get to where you can tell someone's
It's pretty quick.
yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot. And
Yeah.
also, quite frankly, Jesus has blessed Mike and me with discernment. And all of us can have some discernment, but we're tapping into that too. Because, the last thing I want to do, and I'm always praying this, God, I don't want to put people in a box and
Right.
see everybody with DID now, and so I'm praying about that all the time, but
And
so I usually,
we do shift them off too. Sometimes they get mad that comes to us, they want to all be demons at first.
oh yeah,
It's not demons, So
Everybody
it's either a
wants-
box of, hey, go deal with your meth addiction.
yeah,
Seriously.
Right.
yeah.
Or go deal with, and then we'll weed them out. We've seen so much of it, but they don't want to hear the truth sometimes,
What would you say the discernment is then? Because for me, and with a lot of people with addictions, I see that there are, demonic things around them.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not necessarily a given. Is that true? That there are people with addictions that don't have demonic?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it has to be some level of discernment.
Right.
So I'm curious, when you are working with someone that you've identified that they do have it, you disclose that to them, what you identified, or are they even aware of what's going on with them?
They usually already know most of the times.
They
They already know
just
the
can't
DID.
make-
They know there's voices in their heads. That's why they come to us thinking it's demonic.
Okay.
And we'll discern it because, we've been through enough deliverances and exorcisms. The witchcraft will start in all this stuff, but it's just smooth. Like in this room, you feel those aren't demons. And then the part will come try to convince you it's a demon next, and play a little charade like, no, you're not a demon. And the next thing is like, how'd you know? Well, I've been through enough of this. That was a good. Golf clap, very good.
And Mike's going to
Yeah.
get a lot of the
Yeah.
more spiritual stuff, his experience. And I've had him come in, one of the great ones is a doctor who came in, and I'd been seeing her for a while, and then finally I'm like, I think you have parts. And she didn't necessarily present. Everybody, it's all about discerning too. She didn't necessarily present that way, so I was going with my gut, right?
Okay.
And so she proceeded to come in and bring the DSM-5 and tell me that she did not meet the criteria in the DSM-5, all right? And now she goes around and usually is one of our examples, and she comes up and gives her testimony.
She put on full demonic possession. A great show. That's one of the ones I was referring to. This was Academy Award-winning, Justinian demonic, biting your tongue and all this stuff. And I said, hey, you're not a demon. Just stop, right? How did you know? I didn't know because the fear factor came up. Like she's ready to throw me out the window and all this stuff. Well, I better get a hold of this real fast. But you stop, like, okay, Holy Spirit, wait a minute. There's nothing here that's demonic. But the show was outstanding.
Yeah.
And she stopped me. How'd you know? It's with 7 deliverance ministers. Yeah.
I don't know if this is kind of topic, but I do have a few people in my life that's had like manic episodes, and they get spiritual attacks and have sleepless nights. And how would you minister to these people?
Well, you can think about it.
Yeah, well, I was saying, just for my thing, you say sleepless nights and manic depressive.
I know,
There
right?
could be something there. It's a
Yeah.
part, it keeps them up. Why it's there, who knows? It's just, you gotta tread lightly and do a lot of research and gather what it is. And they'll talk to you about their parts. A lot of times they're not comfortable talking to you about it. So if you ask, like, I don't have parts or something like that. So it just takes some research around them, what's going on. And why is it sleepless? What's going on with the sleep? Who's coming up at night? Maybe a part coming up. They're busy talking to them. You know, somebody talking to you all night? There's a bunch of people talking to you all night. You don't even present it that way. Because we're in a society, we want to talk about voices. You know, but it's, yeah, when you're fractured, you have multiple pieces of you talking all night. It's annoying. You know,
What's crazy is, remember my picture of the heart and all of us having parts? You could even have someone who didn't suffer severe trauma, but, you know, before the age of 7 or 8, but still they can be fairly highly dissociative, because remember, dissociation is on a continuum. So they could have a protector part that's, you know, that's being hyperly vigilant at night. And that's what he's talking about too. Yeah.
When you say talks, they're not actually hearing physical, disembodied voice, right?
No.
It's like
In your
when
head.
God talks to me. I
Yeah, it's
hear him in my mind.
It's a
Right.
loud thought we call it. It's like your own thought, but they just won't shut up. You know, and then there's a bunch of your thoughts coming in talking, hey, yeah, and they'll have a conversation. You know? And then they'll start a fight or something. They will. They'll start fights with each other. You know, so
It's
just-
conflict, conflict,
yeah,
conflict.
Yeah.
I've seen that in people where they'll be arguing with themselves
Yeah.
intently, and they're like disassociated with everything around them at that moment. It's kind of strange.
It's probably one of their internal fractures, something's talking to them or didn't like something they did and they're conversing with it. So it's crazy stuff.
So can that take place for someone like at a later age than like, say like early 20s?
Creating D.I.D, no. But what you tend to see is that dissociation, there's actually what are called dissociative barriers are created in the brain when we're young, and it happens, okay? So when we're little and we're creating D.I.D, there actually creates dissociative barriers between the parts, all right? As we age, those dissociative barriers start to weaken, which is why you typically start seeing more of the people having problems in their mid-30s on, okay? Now, someone young, you can still typically, as you get experience, you can find that they have D.I.D. and you're able to say, oh, that one's a didder right there. They're doing their thing, right? Now, in terms of all of this happening, yeah, with the heart, you can have a protective heart that comes up because we're naturally like that. You know, a quick example of the protector part, all right? So I go to meet with some counselors, or this pastor and his wife, because someone had been spreading all this slander stuff around me, right? About me. They hear about it, they say, hey, Tony, we want to hear about like your side of the story, what's going on. So I go in there and I start telling them my side of the story. And in the middle of it, I'm thinking, you know, if I could tap into the emotion, because this was really traumatizing for me, if I could tap into that right now, because I've learned how to do that, that would really help plead my cause. It's not happening. So I get out of the meeting with them, everything ends up being fine, and I start to beat up on myself. This is when I was first learning about this stuff. I started to kind of beat up on myself for not being able to tap into my emotion. And then I went, oh, protector, that was you. You were protecting me because you were afraid they were going to reject me. And I said, thanked her, instead of like all the self-hatred that would typically go on, like, what's the matter with you? Counselor can't even tap into her emotions, right? Yeah.
Do we go to 12:30 here?
12:30.
12:30, good, okay. I'm gonna tap into some of this stuff here too. So anybody here have to minister with people you suspect of SRA or DID? You had to? Okay. So we want to start talking a little bit about that too, just to help you guys out, a few little tips. So what we start doing is like, number one, we suspect it, stop deliverance. Stop deliverance prayer, okay? So there's multiple people inside there, and they're gonna mess with you, they're gonna have fun. They're very intelligent. And ones that are very angry like to have the most fun with you. And like I said, they can put on the show of the demons, the possession, they can put on the whole show. What we usually do is we'll start out prayer because we want the whole thing to be calm for them, all right? We don't want all the parts agitated. We just want a calm environment for them to come in, and just all the parts be relaxed, because we invite all the parts to participate in the ministry, okay? Whoever wants to come up, some will want to cooperate, some won't interfere. It's going to happen. So what we usually do is we open up in prayer, and we address it, especially since there's a lot of satanic ritual abuse, we'll address the true Lord Jesus Christ, because they will have, you know, Satanists have false everything, Holy Ghost, false Jesus, false everything running around in there as parts. So you establish the true Jesus Christ, so we establish who he was. Like, true Jesus, we call out to you. who lived 2,000 years ago. That checks off anything else. No, the spirits came incarnate, right? That's Jesus. Keep establishing who the real Jesus is. Who came 2,000 years ago, led a sinless, holy life. That counts out other spirits. We're going off getting rid of all the ones that are involved. Died on the cross for my sins, and you alone are the only ones who atone my sins. And through you, you rose again 3 days and went to heaven. So the spirits came and died and rose again 3 days. So just keep checking off who Jesus is in prayer. And through you and you alone, we address during this prayer session. Okay? You want to establish the true Jesus, because if you don't ritual abuse, the false Jesus pops up everywhere and messes with you. Okay? Just assume he's running around. So we establish true Jesus, just keep knocking it back to true Jesus. What we try to do in these ministries, our job isn't to heal and bring up memories. Our job is for the parts to connect with Jesus. Because we don't heal. You will become D.I.D. at the end if you try to heal them. Right? You will. You can't heal them. It's Jesus who does it. And each step of the way, it's long term. Each step of the way, we see miracles in each session. It's just, Jesus just walks them out. Why doesn't Jesus heal them like that? Well, one, we don't know. We'd love to have that anointing to do that. And two, we found out through the ministry is when we were whole, Jesus wooed us, our soul, right? He wooed us. Now we have multiple parts that some don't like him. Right? Jesus wants them all. And he's not going to step in and go, I'm taking all of you now. Because no, I don't accept you. I had this false Jesus guy who was part of rituals, and how do I know you're not him? So through time, the system starts getting healed. The system's all the conglomerate of all the parts. They start getting healed, and they start wanting what the other part had. Like a part accepts Jesus. Well, you can do that in the system? Yeah. You can accept Jesus too. So what we see as we start aligning most of the system to Jesus. Sometimes it's one part, sometimes it takes like 80 or 90 here, It's however Jesus is going to work. And you got to be in alignment with that. You can't get ahead of him. We can't think of what Jesus is going to do next. That's why Tony was saying we can't have a plan. It's prayer ministry. We sit there, we ask Jesus to control switching of parts. Whoever's going to come up and minister to that day, that's what Jesus is going to do. To me, this whole ministry reminds me, you ever see that game Jenga? That's a system. That's an SRA system. And one day Jesus is going to pull his stick out. Someday Jesus is going to come over and pull his stick out. Right? What is going on? I'm going to come over and pull his stick out. But it's long term. Eventually we'll see the games go, it collapsed. You go, what on earth was that? Right? So you have to follow Jesus. He brings the healing. You follow him through the system of each healing. And it's like a big roller coaster ride. We have good days and bam, somebody's suicidal. We have good days, bam, somebody doesn't want to deal with us. Somebody hates us. Somebody just wants to stare at us for an hour and a half to the session. Like that, and just let them. That's Jesus brought them up. I had one woman I worked with came out of the pornography ring for the first 3 months. That was it. She'd come in, hi, how you doing? Good to see you again. The part would come up. Jesus, what do? We're doing it. And then one day she just wanted to get healed by Jesus. It's like, well, this is crazy. And it's just, and it's not, you just have to stay in tune with him. I think what happened with her was, I was working with Tony's mom, and Jesus goes, today's the day. We're like 3 months, today's the day for what? He goes, just call my name. And we're going, Jesus. He goes, I don't want to hear that name. Jesus. And then I think Donna was hearing to Jesus. We're going, just Jesus. And she's going, I don't want to hear it. And this memory came up. But not after memories, but this memories came up like a volcano eruption. It's when she needed to come up and just stifled. And it was part of her healing, for this part to move on. It was just crazy. That wasn't my agenda. I just wanted to make her move along. But it's what she wanted to do, and it's how Jesus moved for that. She was kind of just getting an hour of Jesus right now. That's what she was getting. He was doing something. We have to have the maturity that Jesus is always doing something. This is long-term ministry, and he is. But we don't see it all the time. It's like the Jenga game. Why'd you pull that piece out? Why are you over here? We don't see it, but it happens. And I've had my faith go low, right on the verge of a healing. Especially with SRA, you get hold on to praying, intercessing. This is long term. What is going on here? And God's just saying, hang in there, hang in there. I go, what do you mean hang in there? This has been like this for like a month and a half. What do you mean hang in there? We're ready. Soullessly we're ready to give, and then the next week, boom, the healing came. It's like I told you to hang in there. It's like, oh, that's what you meant. Like you told me. We're a week away. But it's that sort of thing. You're really in it with these people, and you have to be with them and stay with them. This is a very long-term commitment to these people. But you see the healing.
Can I speak to that for just
yes, go ahead.
quickly? So also, like inherent in a counselor client relationship is that there's going to be an end to that relationship. And that's part of where, Mike introduced me to some people who've been doing this for a long time. Because I was stuck. I was like, these people I knew, in fact, the doctor gal, I knew that she was D.I.D, but she was not going to have anything because she didn't trust me. Right? So we call these people who have some experience. They're actually CARE, and they're in Michigan. And the gal was telling me, yeah, inherent in this is that you have to decide that you're going to be in a relationship with this person for the rest of their lives and commit to that. And that's part of why community is so important. So when Mike says that it's time invested, yeah, it's time invested. Because they've had nothing but broken relationship after broken, after wounding relationship after wounding relationship. Yeah, and so it's an investment, and that's part of why community can help too, because then it's not, Mike and I, or you, aren't being the sole person, because that can be really sick too, right? Yeah. We've seen a lot of really bad things happen when the counselor wants to be the best friend, wants to be the pastor, wants to be,
Or the mom.
Or the mom, that's a big one too. Because
They'll
they'll beg you to be their mom.
Especially SRA, it's so dangerous. Because it surrounds that person, they're sucked in now, the enemy just made them useless. Because they gave them their feelings. It's like, we have feelings for the people, but we're also alongside them to help them. So we know they're going to get there. We've seen it time and time again before. We have to get that position where we're there to help them. And these parts, even though they're 4 through 15, some of these parts, they're incredibly smart. They are studying you. Like the one that went through the child pornography, I keep bringing her up because all her parts are studying me. I had to be the example of Jesus through my life, outside. Because that's how it came through. It's like, well, you're different. And I had to present it. It wasn't like just mouth talk. I spent like a year or something with her. You had to be that example, live it. Because my golly, they'll call you on it. Well, what were you doing the other day? Huh? You're telling me I got to do this? They're smart. So you got to live your life to example them, because we're also bringing examples to the 4 through 6-year-olds. We're raising children.
That's right, helping them mature.
So we got to give these people grace, because there's some people stuck at 4, some people stuck at 6. So if something weird happens, I try to come in as a parent to stand and tell them, well, we can't do that. That's not appropriate. And because they haven't been raised, they're stuck there. So while they're healing, we're also raising them into what's appropriate at that age level. Okay? There's a lot of this stuff going on. It sounds kind of crazy, huh? Where's Mike talking about the occult? Where's Mike talking about? We deal with it. But like I said before, it's the deliverance is very gentle because they're violated. When that part accepts Jesus, there is no deliverance. Jesus goes, Mr. Demon, shackle you, you're done. That's what it looks like. There's no this crazy, none of that stuff, all excitement we see. Because they were violated. They're done. We see them thrown out the window, we see them, and they'll tell you, I saw Jesus throw a thing out like lightning or something, yeah. So it's very gentle, it's different. And so we got to stay in step with Jesus because he knows what he's doing. You violated my child, it's punishment time. I'm not going to punish this child anymore. You've been through enough, I'm going to deal with him. Shackle, get out. Here we go. So that's why we don't do deliverance, it's very different. It's getting that part associated with Jesus, learning about Jesus. A lot of times they're studying you about who Jesus is. And so it's all your lifestyle and how you come alongside with them. And they do. It's just all of a sudden, you don't know when they're going to accept Jesus. You just keep working with them little by little. They're listening. They're very intelligent. It's just they've been traumatized not to go to Jesus because false Jesus was there during the ritual. He may have participated in some of this stuff. So we got to reintroduce who Jesus is, and he's not going to drag them off somewhere and put them in a cage. It's very different. And you've got to live that and be patient with people because they've been through the trauma. You've got to walk them out. Yeah.
How do you ensure that the relationship is maintained as they are usually accustomed to flighting? So when they leave the relationship, how do you encourage them to stay if we're not parents are holding them at home or not?
I don't. We don't hold their hands. They can go. They can go.
They come back.
They come back. Because it may be a time too they're going through that they're not ready for it. You can't push the parts.
Got you.
We found that in ministry too. A lot of times we can have a time where you can just do we call intensive healings. Maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, and there's a window of opportunity there, and a lot of parts get healed, and then they're done, and we respect it. Like, time out, guys. We have to respect the system because we don't want to shut down. We're trying to help them out.
So we respect that boundary and we don't.
Yeah.
Don't go after them.
Don't go after them.
Okay.
Well, you might send them a text or something, hey, thinking about you, or I love you, or whatever.
And they show the community too.
Can you speak up?
What's that?
Her question was, do you go after the people? And we say, you can maybe send them a text or give them a call and say, hey, I love you, I miss you, I hope you're doing well. But in terms of, you got to be here, no. You let them do their thing, because the last thing we want to do is traumatize them further or have them create a part just to come deal with us.
And it's part of their maturity.
Yeah.
their commitment. They have to learn to commit now because they've learned to uncommit from everything.
Right.
And so now it's their maturity to say, hey, well, okay, maybe I was worn out with this, but now things aren't working, so maybe I should go back and see that.
Yeah.
And so it just, we just, we give them their space.
I have had experiences where if I didn't have to get a refill, I would not have gone back.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
and when you say that, I did learn that I had to learn the behaviors. And my therapist did say, oh, we're going to learn to keep our word.
Yeah.
We're going to learn to meet the commitment.
Mhm.
And you have to go back and reteach yourself.
Yep.
And it was necessary, so I did go, but I didn't want to.
Mhm. And they reason that too. They reason what works and what works for them. It's just a whole lifestyle. The other question.
My question was, when you were talking about presenting Jesus to them, do you have them confess that, or do you just model that by speaking?
Okay, so the question back there was, when we have them present Jesus to them, or do we just model that to them? It's usually all the above. We'll do prayer sessions. It's usually, we'll bring the presence of Jesus in and let them, a lot of times they'll feel it. We have a lot of Christian people show up. There's some sort of Christian foundation there. Sometimes it's really strong, sometimes it's really messed up and mixed with the occult. And they can feel how to feel the presence of Jesus. They can go minister to parts. So a lot of times it's this prayer ministry that comes in and ministers to them. And we let them find out who Jesus is. A lot of times it's prophetic because Jesus will come in and talk to them. People are going like, oh, well, I'm stuck in this situation. How do I get out? So I can't answer that for you. So because they are involved in, they were traumatized in the occult, they're very spiritual. They know the demonic. They know what's going on. Once they know when we can get Jesus in there, the real Jesus will come in. They know who he is. So it's very prophetic, and they'll see him. So we introduce them, and they'll either reject him, which happens, but if we get them to the point where we can introduce and they back off, it's still progress. It's just, just go at their pace.
Our biggest tool is we say, okay, Jesus, if there is a part or parts that are ready for some healing or that feel like coming up right now, would you bring that part up? We let Jesus be in charge of everything. And if nothing comes up, then we don't force it. That's a big deal. And we give all of them great tools on how to connect with Jesus.
So what if, you said a lot about trauma. So what if there are situations where a person doesn't realize, or if it's not the result of the trauma, like in the occult or whatever? What if it's not relative to a trauma and anything? It's like there was some exposure. If there was some exposure, and it was unknowingly brought in. It's like what I asked before about doing drugs and everything. My son is smoking weed, and I got a phone call from him. And this is like probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And everything since then has kind of gone down. He called me on the phone and said, and he was talking really fast and everything. And then all of a sudden I heard all this commotion in my secretary. I wonder, he was speaking about it in the third person. Yeah, man, that's crazy. They won't even let him in. What are you talking about? And then I heard all this commotion. Next thing I know, somebody picked up the phone and said, do you know who that person was on the phone? I'm like, that's my son. What happened? He said he jumped off the pier. This was in San Francisco. And so he had been working and all this stuff. So he didn't jump into the water. When I talked to him, he said he was running from something. Something was trying to get him. And when we got to the hospital later that night, the ER, the psych nurse said, it seems that he had smoked some weed. It may have been like medical marijuana, so it was more potent. He said, you gotta be careful because something, that kind of opens the door to other things.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. How do you know if it was and just like I said, everything was kind of gone downhill from there. And so he brought up in church, went to Christian schools and stuff like that. But he got in trouble. And then when he turned 20, he got arrested and was in prison for 4 years. So to me, it kind of, when I said the person was 20, could that, because I was sure that it blew his mind that he was going to have to be in prison for almost 5 years. He was in there for 40 years.
So I'm thinking something like that may have happened, but you're saying that that's not necessarily
Well,
possible that it-
this could be happening, right? So it could be simply that he got hurt by Jesus, because oftentimes we'll blame Jesus. How come you didn't save me? How come you didn't protect me? You know, I didn't think I was going to go to prison because you should have, because we put all these expectations on God, right? Which then he could have a protector part that's just like, well, screw Jesus, excuse my French. And then as a result of that, it gives an opening because the free will choice of a person, right, for the enemy to come in and grab hold to his protector part. Because this can be happening, and you can have demonic attachments on the parts.
And while he was there, he said, like one of the, I mean, that's what I'm saying, a lot of stuff just kind of, must have just kind of blown his mind. While he was there, his first cellmate was a devil worshiper. And then as he was, and we called him and said, Mom, the craziest thing happened. Like, what happened? He said he was playing chess, and his cellmate said, if I win, I get the soul. And he said, but he didn't win the game. Now, I don't know if he said that because he's trying to protect me and my concerns about it. But then he kept saying, Mom, I'm supposed to go to, I don't know what's wrong, I'm supposed to go to LA. This was just recent. Who's in LA? I don't know, somebody. That's where they got it with my first settlement. I'm pretty sure he's dead by now because he got cancer. And just all these weird things that just been happening.
That's where you start with Deliverance Ministries, and that's where I put the mojo on, like I did. See, he doesn't know what his cellmate was doing at nighttime either to him, so, because that cellmate may have had direct access to him. So there's no telling.
There could be all kinds of, this is a crash course, and we're talking about really super complicated stuff, and we're doing it in, an hour and a half or whatever.
Yeah.
This is like years of experience and nuances and everything else.
But it's possible that something could happen to him through the cellmate. I mean, it's highly possible. We don't know. It's speculation, especially since he had access to him at nighttime. And these guys are really good at hypnosis or supplement drug or something, so we don't know. So seek a deliverance minister on that when you're out, ready? See if he breaks stuff off.
Mike, you want to get that?
Yeah.
So, to what extent is there nothing new under the sun? And what we're dealing with here is the human condition of brokenness from living in a sinful world. And what we all need, you, me, everyone, is reconciliation to Christ through the gospel by discipleship. And we're really not dealing with anything but the human condition.
Well, this one goes a little bit darker. This is a fractured human condition. It was fractured on purpose and fractured in multiple pieces, maybe thousands of pieces. So we're dealing with how God heals a broken heart and reassembles that brokenness. This one was done deliberately. We're looking at is how Satan builds. He doesn't get followers. Somebody out seeking some sort of power may become a follower to him. They find out what it is. What Satan does is he dissociates families, literally generations of families with dissociative identity disorder, through death pacts that they all have to return. So we're looking at breaking down Satan's altars. It's a little bit different. And so a lot of people we worked with, it was generational through families. That this was done to them, they were all dissociated and part of this satanic ritual cult. So it's a little bit different. So it's tearing down how what Satan did. He deliberately did this to these people. To have his own followers, because nobody's going to follow him. He knows that. And that means nobody's going to keep his church, so he had to make this generational. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what suggestion do you have, I know time is running out, for a church to, how can we not be afraid of the people, and what suggestions do you have? Because
don't be afraid. These are awesome people. They're Christians. A lot of people that come with Christians, they're dealing with this, and that's the problem is they don't know. We don't understand what they're going through. I don't fear them. These are amazing people. Right. Your heart just breaks for them because they're fighting. They know Jesus is going to help them. He has been saving them. So don't fear them. Whatever pops up, you don't fear. It's from the enemy. Mm-hmm. It's not demonic when it pops up. It's a part made to look demonic.
So maybe that's the end right there. Is so how do, because my church tends to immediately, don't touch them, don't do, it'll jump on you. They go demonic immediately. So I like when you said, if they say, where's it at? You can't cast me out as opposed to cast us out.
Listen to the conversation that's going on with the deliverance.
Okay.
Learn discernment. If you're going to deliverance ministry, learn discernment or get out.
Okay, I like that. Learn discernment or get out. Okay, that works. Okay.
So real quick, get a question in the back?
Actually, a comment to what she was saying, how do you not get afraid? Fear is from the enemy. The Bible says in
That's right. Fear is from the enemy.
That's true.
God didn't give us the
spirit of fear. That's a good way.
The first thing, just like Passion, he was saying, when you say in the name of Jesus, every other thing has to bow.
Has to bow.
They might not want to bow, they might not do it immediately, but they will eventually bow. So even if you're afraid and you just stay on the name of Jesus and you call on the Holy Spirit, whatever it is has to go.
I like.
And never fear deliverance. I've done so many deliverances where I had some mojo, and it was because the person was part of witchcraft and they didn't want to be delivered. And why I got mojoed was because the demon knew they didn't want out of witchcraft. They said they were Christian. And so I was no longer in step with healing the person. I was in a fight between myself and the demon.
Right, I see.
And so I was exposed. So now I don't jump into warfare anymore. I tell people, hey, pray about it. I'll see you in a week. Then I get such a download. And I tell people, yeah, I could do this now. Because I want to hear from the Father first. What's going on here? He'll tell you stuff. Oh, he'll tell you stuff.
I like that. Learn discernment or get out.
Yeah. That's all it is. Because he's doing the fight. We aren't. We have authority over terrestrial stuff, right?
Right.
But I don't want to step out of underneath his covering.
Because Gabriel said that
we
too.
have too many charismatic pastors saying, sharpen your iron in the second heaven. Oh my God, that's like the worst advice ever. Stay on the second heaven. Don't deal with the angelic. They'll womp you. They'll destroy you. And just listen to what's going on. If it's a demon, we have authority over it, so don't fear it.
Right.
It's a person with no body. Look at it that way, right? You know, and if they're going to use their body to clobber me, I bind you to sit down on your hands. This is how it's going to be. You'll see it. I talk to them like they're dogs. Sit. And they do. They respond because we have authority over it. In the name of Jesus, sit. You knock chairs over. In the name of Jesus, pick up the chair, then you sit. Because I ain't cleaning up after you. You know? That's how you treat them. Don't fear them. They're created. It's weird.
But you have to be
you
a
got
righteous
right.
spirit, because a lot of people are getting messed up in America, going into deliverance or going and dealing with demonic spirits and not understanding mental health versus demonic, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And so, just putting the disclaimer out there, people need to be careful. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
If you don't understand it,
that's right.
leave it alone.
That's right.
Let someone who you can always pray.
It's true.
You can always pray. The power of prayer is powerful. The blood of Jesus, Joshua, is a powerful thing, and it works. And sometimes you don't have time to find someone.
Yeah.
And you may be frightened, but keep your eye focused on Christ. That's the key, because
and they want to try to get you to fight. Because then it makes it about you. More than it is about Jesus. I've never once, and I've worked a lot with Mike, I've never once seen him fight. But I've seen demons go. All right.
But I think there's still with the pressure, because it's just, is there burnout among people that are helping you with this? Or
vicarious trauma.
Or you get so much reward out of, like, sit on your hands, David?
I've never seen him do that either, although I've heard it, in the next room.
It goes. It's just, like you were saying, Jesus has to bring you into this. We all have stuff Jesus wants us to do, and make sure you're into what he wants you to do. Because there's times with SRA where I feel pummeled, and I still hear Jesus' voice like, "You're doing great, great, you're doing great." My face is down like around, I'm dragging. Like no, and it's like the healing came like within a week or two the next time. So now it kind of helped me too when I hear that, like, oh, we're close. It helps me pick myself back up. You go through like with them because you develop a relationship with these people. We do have our boundaries, but you feel for these people. They're human. They're the part comes that wants to commit suicide, but we know they're not going to commit suicide because the Holy Spirit's got them. It's a part doing it, but you just feel from like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. So your emotions go with it, but you have to have some sort of minor detachment. Still in tune with the Holy Spirit. So as long as you keep the Holy Spirit moving, because he's ahead of you in the game. It's like when you hear something bad, usually the demon throws it out. Oh, he's going to kill yourself. And you're, no, she's not. Okay, it's a game.
Thank you.
I don't know if I have my. Anyone wants to fill out a card? I meant to get back to the room like that.